Welcome to the Wrestling Realm Presents Championship Culture. I'm Brandon the Guy, and remember, every belt has a story. Now, before we get into today's content, let me remind you of a couple quick things. Did you know you can watch all of the Wrestling Realm content at any time just by going to youtube.com/The Wrestling Realm? You can follow us on all social media platforms, which include Instagram, X, Facebook, just by using @Wrestling Realm. Don't forget to like and subscribe and engage with the conversation, and you never miss a chance when we go live. You can also stream and download all of our audio content at Anchor, Stitcher, Podbean, Pocket Cast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Watch and subscribe to our Twitch channel at The Wrestling Realm. And if you're thinking about buying a ticket for any kind of live event, concert, sporting event, SummerSlam, as long as you spend it over $50, use the promo code The Wrestling Realm and save yourself $20. With the prices of ticket, I'm pretty sure you can find a $50 ticket to save you that $20 off. So, let's talk about one of the most underrated belts in the WWE. And I'm not talking about the version of the WWF or the WWF North American title from 1979 to 1981. I'm talking about the North American title that came in 2018. What's unique about this belt, it took almost 6 years for NXT to get a secondary title. For its beginning, it was just the NXT World Champion, the Women's Champion, and Tag Champs. And that's all we had at NXT. So with the roster getting bigger and a more depth being added to it, and even when people talk about the true black and gold days or the Triple H era of it, you know, when it was like, I don't want to call it the Super Indies, but they were letting the stars that we have been watching really have a platform to shine, you needed an additional title. So Triple H had a video and he showed off the belt, and it was neat that he did this because oftentimes in WWE we had to wait until they pulled the the little thing off of it and say, oh, look at the belt. And it hasn't really had the luster or the, oh, wow, that's a nice belt. But when Triple H just revealed this North American title, I remember it just being, I was just blown away by it. The gold, the black, the silver, it was just perfect. Everything about it screamed, this is an important title. It had that effect, and I said, okay, how are we going to get our first champion? We didn't have to wait long because in NXT TakeOver New Orleans, we had a 6-man ladder match where EC3, Killian Dane, Adam Cole, Ricochet, Lars Sullivan, and Velveteen Dream all competed. Now, was Adam Cole the right choice at the time for it? I believe he was, to be the first inaugural champion. The Undisputed Era was gaining a lot of steam, gaining a lot of momentum. It made sense for him to have this belt, and it just made sense to push him because he was already a star, but it was that belt just added some more intrigue to it. Now, with Adam Cole being the first champion, the shortest reign belongs to Solo Sikoa. The oldest champion, which I still have a hard time believing this, is Damian Priest. And he won it when he was 37 years old. The youngest champion was Velveteen Dream at 23. The heaviest champion was Bronson Reed, and the lightest champion was Leon Ruff. If you can believe it or not, it seems like the gimmick for the North American title is a ladder match. They've had 3 ladder matches at the time of this video, and all 3 have been 5-star, 7-star, whatever Dave Meltzer rating you want to give it. It deserves the highest rating because all of these ladder matches do not disappoint. They've had great moments. I don't want to call them spots. I'm just saying great moments. If you really want to look at this belt and see why I keep saying it's underrated, pick any of those ladder matches from the beginning or any of the later two, and you will be thoroughly impressed with these superstars do with the time given and with this belt on the line. So, before I get any further, I do want you to take a look at some of these pictures and pay attention to the strap, the belt tip, and just look how the tooling is so different and unique on this belt. Now that you had a chance to look at the belt, let's talk about the top 5 champions to hold this belt. Number 5 being the first champion, Adam Cole. Because he kicked off the lineage for this belt, the way that it was won, everything about that match was just, to me, perfect. Even if it was something they might have missed on, it didn't feel like it. The match just kept going. And even when Adam Cole had it, it just looked like it just fit him. It was like the perfect belt designed for him. That's why he's number 5. Number 4 goes to the man that defeated him for the title of Ricochet. I would have loved to see where Ricochet and Adam Cole could have been on the main roster, maybe for an Intercontinental, US, WWE, or Universal title. I think that they could have had some classic matches and been a great rivalry to each other because of what they did in that short amount of time with this belt. Number 3 goes to the man that has 3 reigns with the belt, Johnny Gargano. Whether he was Johnny Gargano or the way Johnny Gargano, all of his matches were just on point. They were just, I don't want to say phenomenal because that's an AJ Styles thing, but Johnny Gargano doesn't have a bad match, it seems like, when it comes to NXT. My number 2 person is the man who did something that nobody else has been able to do, and that being Keith Lee. Keith Lee was able to hold this belt and win the NXT World title and hold both and be a dual champion. The only man in history thus far to do both. It was such a monumental time when he won it because he was picking up so much steam. It was like, oh, this is the Keith Lee we've been watching in the Indies. NXT has given him the backing and he's doing it. And it wasn't like a squash match. It wasn't like a dominant match. It was a great match that he had with him and Roderick Strong and even with him and Adam Cole when he had the belts and when he won them. So he's number 2. Number 1. Now, it's going to be kind of crazy because I couldn't decide who my number 1 was, so I actually split it between 2 people. The first one being Carmelo Hayes. When Melo had this belt, he really came into his him gimmick. He really put eyes on it. Even doing the 2.0, the paint splatter, the gold and white, whatever version of NXT you want to call it, he really made this belt important. He really pushed it into the limelight. He held it like it was a world title. And let's be honest, who was the one to unify the NXT Cruiserweight title and the North American title? I'll let that sink in. And the other person that ties was the longest reigning champion of 269 days of Wes Lee. Gone were the Rascal days. Gone were his tag team days. He was establishing himself that, look, I am a singles competitor and look what I can do. Wes Lee by far defended it, showed he can do. No matter if it was a singles, triple threat, Wes Lee was the man with this belt. Over the last year, if you want to see a good match, just look up Wes Lee North American Championship. Any of his matches in the last year did not disappoint. So those are my top 5. And let me tell you the story why I have this belt. I kind of hinted at it a little bit. Brown and gold are kind of some of my favorite colors. in certain combinations. And it was something about when Triple H revealed that belt, it just caught my eye immediately. Then when it was one in the ladder match, and seeing it defended, just seeing the unique strap, the way that the gold and silver are intertwined, even with it being the let me just show you here. If you look at, oops, that's upside down. If you look at the top, look how the NXT silver and it still has the WWE stamp in the middle of it. It's like little subtle things just makes the belt just stand out more than any other. And the reason I say it's underrated, it's not looked at in the same light of the Intercontinental US Championship. And even though it's only been around since 2018, and I know that these belts have a longer lineage, it's establishing it. It is showing that this belt is not necessarily a workhorse, but it's a pay attention to my match and let me show you what I can do belt. So every time I saw one of these matches, it just drew me to it. Just looking at the belt, seeing the different side plates, and then not clashing with it. Because some people, when they put color in the belt, like a certain color on their side plate, because of their side plate really doesn't match, it seems like the North American title just fit. Hence why I have Keith Lee, because nobody's been able to do what Keith Lee's been able to do, and but hold them both at the same time. So there's my story behind why I have it. There's my top 5. Hopefully you got an in-depth look at it. And if you ever are thinking about purchasing this from WWE Shop, stop thinking about it, pull the trigger, and hit buy. Pay for it over installments, pay for it at time, whatever you got to do. If you're thinking about getting a North American title, please get it. It will not disappoint you. It will not. And when I tell you, this belt is just nicely crafted. I know a lot of people give WWE flack about their leather. The leather really isn't that bad. Yes, a little stiff, but it still has some wiggle to it. The plates are very thick, and I don't know if you can tell in the pictures. I just want to point out the sides are actually painted. There's not gems, those are just painted. And it just makes the belt seem, one, now you ain't got to worry about stones falling out. Two, on TV, it's always going to look good. All they got to do is wipe it off. You know, sometimes when you go too far with stones or you don't have enough details, it can kind of look a little dull. This belt still looks brown, still looks shiny. Every time I see it, it still looks good. I haven't seen it been worn or anything like that. So please, if you're thinking about getting it, pull the trigger. So there you have it. There's my story behind the belt. And remember, every belt has a story. I can't wait to hear yours.